my name is Zachary Lowe, or Zach if you want to make it brief. And I work in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for an advertising agency called Digitas Health, which specializes in healthcare and pharmaceutical marketing for our clients. But then we're part of a much larger company known as Digitas, which is part of a much larger company known as Publicis that owns about 30 different agencies. So indirectly, I work for potentially 30 people, but I'm housed in one single office in Philadelphia. So Publicis is a holding company, as they're called, and there's a lot of them in the advertising agency ecosystem. And so they own, if I had to guess, I think it's around 24 or 25 different agencies that specialize in a lot of different things. So some of them are media planning and buying agencies, where basically they're given a sum of money from a client to actually go and purchase advertising on their behalf. There are some that are strictly digital, so they focus on the web, they focus on mobile, they focus on tablets as their means of expertise. And then there are also people that focus on just brand strategy. So there's a lot of different things that these agencies do, but all told, there are several that are full service as well. So whatever you need, they can take care of it, but some clients don't need that. And so they might choose one based on their subject matter expertise. My title is media director. And I guess in the simplest form, that means that I manage a group of media planners and buyers. So essentially what happens is our clients will have a bundle of money, some small, some large, that we call pass-through. And so they'll give that money to our agency to buy media on their behalf. If you're watching television and they cut to a commercial and you see an ad, we actually paid for that ad with the money from our client. So my team will go out and actually plan where the ads are going to go and then ultimately execute those. And so that's probably the ground floor of what we do. But we're also responsible for the consumer strategy at some point. So if our client says, hey, we have a new product and it's fun and it's young and it's lively, we want to target, these adults 18 to 34, well, we say, okay, there's a lot more you have to know about those people to make sure that your advertising dollars are being used as efficiently as possible. So we'll do a lot of that background research for them. We also do in-campaign optimization, which means if we see there is really great response from an ad on a particular, say, website or television channel or print magazine, we will actually move money between different channels. So from TV to print, for instance, to help support what's actually producing value for the client. We're also in charge of a lot of money, which means we're in charge of a lot of billing and reconciliation. So as you can imagine, not all the spots that we buy on TV, say, will run appropriately. And so for things that aren't run, we get credits or we get make goods, which means they're going to run at a different time for us. We have to manage all of that money because ultimately if you have $1 million or $10 million media plan, only 75% of it runs, you're still holding $250,000 that hasn't been used yet and was supposed to be. And we have to figure out what to do with all of those things as well. But there's a lot to do, but my job in particular is to manage a lot of these processes. So we have maybe folks, teams as high as many as 10 to 12 that are doing this on behalf of a single client, some that work across many. So you can imagine when you're doing all of those things for several different clients and each of them you have to have their best interest in mind. It can be a little bit cumbersome, but it's a lot of fun. Digitas Health, so we focus primarily on the digital aspect of people's lives. It's in the nomenclature of our company's name. So we do a lot with the production or development and production of websites, a lot of online creative. So if you see ads on specific websites or your paid search that you see on Google, Yahoo, or Bing, or if you search on Ask or wherever you go, we do that as well. We also handle search engine optimization, which is really trying to bolster our clients' websites rankings for the organic search rankings that come up when you search. We also have a video department. We have a lot of different things that we can do, but it's primarily focused in the digital aspect of media. But then we can also work with agencies, or we can also help to facilitate out-of-home programs. So people, I guess you could say it's as simple as billboards and as complex as giant video ads in Times Square, right? If you see a bus that's wrapped in a certain thing, you see a promotion for a television show or something, that's what the out-of-home folks can do. We have folks that work on print, so that's newspapers, magazines, all kinds of different things. folks that work in broadcast, so TV and radio, where things get a little bit blurry when you talk about things like video on demand, which is sort of based in broadcast but lives in this digital realm, right? And people try to struggle over where whose dollars those actually are. But when I talk about media channels and I talk about ways to reach people, there's a lot of different ways, and they're growing every day. And for the most part, I think that now that things have gotten a little bit more fragmented in terms of you can use your cell phone to do the same thing you use your television for, your computer for, the lines become a little bit blurred, and we have to actually create different ways to message people. At the ground floor, what we're doing is we're trying to make sure that any, say, websites that we build or any content that we build that's able to be viewable on your desktop, on any sort of browser, is also mobile friendly, right? So any tablet or any mobile device that's being accessed from, we don't have to build a unique mobile experience, but it can't be mobile hostile. We can't have people going there on their phones or on their tablets, which is becoming more and more prevalent. Like we're seeing up to a quarter of all traffic for some sites coming from mobile devices. We can't have people struggling to utilize the website, right? So we're trying to promote at least the optimization of websites to be mobile friendly. Of course, the way that people utilize these sites is oftentimes very different between if they were sitting at a computer per se and if they're on an iPad, right? Typically the iPad visitation is much shorter, right? It's much more utilitarian depending on what time of day someone is using it. You know, for instance, we may have a client that has an offer on their website for a free trial or something like that. We try to make sure that on the tablet, those things are in the forefront because oftentimes people don't have a lot of time on their tablet to sort of look for certain things. They're looking for little tidbits of information or things that are of value. Or a game, for instance. And we don't want to interrupt that, of course. Like we want you to be able to get back to whatever it is that you're doing. I think in a lot of instances, people see these tablets, like iPads, as having much more functionality than their actual desktop computer. And while it's partially true, it's not totally true, but we've been taught to sort of behave that way with those things. And so we want to be a part of that experience and not disrupt what's being done.